All right, Millyz, how's it going?
Good, man. Excellent.
That's what's up, man. You got a lot of stuff going on, man. I see you grinding.
Yeah, appreciate that, bro. You too.
For sure, man. Well, some of the most recent things I seen is Jadakiss gave you a new chain.
Yeah.
Okay, well, tell me a little bit about it, man. What's going on with that?
Man, this from it's my city, CNB. It got the Zakem Bridge on it. Irish Clover. It's really a trophy though. I've gotten a chain every new album that I've dropped in the Blanco series, starting at Blanco 3. So Blanco 3 was my first chain I ever got. You know, that was from Benny the Jeweler. Then Blanco 4, I got another chain, which was from Mazza. Blanco 5, I finally got the Cuban with the Celtics logo on it. And this is Blanco 6. So I don't really like getting jewelry until you earned it. I feel like every chain really got to be a trophy and signify something that you earned, you know?
Okay, that's what's up, man. Dope shit. All right, well, I thought we would just kind of start off and get to know you a little bit better for my platform, the people on here that might not be familiar with you, man. Can you tell them a little bit about you, where'd you grow up and what it was like for you?
Yeah, I grew up in Cambridge, Mass. It's a diverse city. Most languages spoken in any public high school in the country. So it's really a melting pot of all sorts of people. It's a unique city because you got colleges there. You got Harvard and MIT, which is probably the most prestigious university in the world. And you also have, the projects pretty much connected to MIT and 14 housing projects. A lot of gentrification going on. But when I was growing up, there were white people in my neighborhood, but they were mostly to do with the colleges and stuff. So it wasn't like that many kids. So I was one of the only white kids in my neighborhood. Still to this day, it's pretty much the same. If you go to a Cambridge youth center or something like that, you'll see like one white kid for every 40 black kids and shit like that. So yeah, I grew up with that. And the city was cool. It was fun. It's a basketball city, and it was also like a drug city when I was coming up. I was at the tail end of the crack era, so it was definitely a lot of movement going on out there.
What was it like being one of the only white kids growing up there?
It was hard. I'm not gonna lie. Like it was definitely hard. Like I got violence done to me a lot when I was 12, 13. Around like 12, 13, 14, a lot of people would try me. People tried to bully me pretty much my whole life up to that point until I started learning I had to stand up for myself because I never had my pops around to really tell me, you got to fight. I had to learn it all, right there off the cusp. So it was tough, but it made me what I am. It's the reason that I never feel like I'll never get intimidated of like another white rapper or anything because I know nobody's lived my experience, It molded me into what I am. It gave me thick skin and made me stronger as a youth. And I felt like I had to be 3 times better in everything, whether it was, basketball or rapping or whatever it was to get my props. So it was a blessing.
You mentioned you grew up in a drug city. Can you kind of expand on that a little bit? Like, what do you mean by a drug city?
Well, just like, Central Square, Cambridge in the early 2000s. Cambridge was always like a drug hub as far as just the crack era. Like when I'm growing up on my street is zombies marching up and down, constantly. I didn't know what exactly they were doing until I was about 13 years old. But for the most part, it was just a heavy, concentrated drug city. You got Central Square where at any given time it's, 50 crack users chilling on the benches, just being outside. And that's kind of the area, how can I explain it? That's like the Union Square to New York City or like a Times Square or just the hub of the city. So, you know, as you would walk through that, you would see that, but then even on all the side streets, and once you start to get into, you know, the actual drug culture, you realize, oh, this is what's going on, and these is who these people are. So we were just a city who was, I guess, supplying an abundance of drugs at the time.
Now, growing up there, did you get involved in the streets or anything when you were young?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, what age did you jump off the porch?
I mean, it's weird because it's like I started kind of like doing a little scam around like 11, 12. I don't really want to get into that too much. You know, one of my friends, he passed. I just want to keep, you know, his memory pure, but we were kind of like scamming. And then I went to selling weed. In the 7th grade, I was like a good little weed dealer. You know, my man's brother from over the bridge had got him right, and I just had to gift the gab. I was able to get it off. And then by 14, that wasn't the shit to do anymore. I was seeing kids my age getting some money and buying some clothes and shit like that. And I'm asking them how, and you know, they showing me a handful of rocks and shit and just giving me the keys to the game. You know, you keep the rocks in your gums, always keep a beverage, swallow the rocks if the police, shit like that. I remember asking somebody, like, how am I gonna know who to sell it to? And they're like, you'll know. And I walked out of my house the first day at 14, and I walked like 3 blocks up, and I saw somebody, you know, one of the older zombies I was talking about, and he gave me a head nod and threw up a number, and I put it together, oh, that's this, and I made it happen. Because at the same time, I was out of school when I was 14 because I got kicked out, so I had more time in the day, so I was kind of roaming the streets when I was like 12. I was roaming the streets, you know, around that area at like 12 p.m., you know, like 1 p.m., shit like that.
Now, being that young and getting involved in the streets, man, you know, what was it that made you want to be in the streets at such a young age?
Well, I didn't want to be in the streets at first. I wanted to play basketball. You know, Patrick Ewing's from my city, Ramil Robinson's from my city, the Jarvis family is from my city. We got a heavy history of basketball, so I wanted to play basketball, and I really worked on, I always had a work ethic in my life, so I really worked on playing basketball, but I got cut from that freshman team, and I kind of think that shattered my basketball dreams. And once the basketball dreams was over, I was just like, man, I don't see what's left for me. Like in life, that was my whole dream up to that point. And I got suspended. I had already been suspended, but you know, I got suspended and expelled eventually, like right after I realized I had no future in basketball. So, you know, to answer your question, I think really I went to the streets because it was the second coolest thing to do. To me, the first coolest thing to do was be an athlete. But I wasn't really accepted in that crowd. I couldn't even make the freshman team, you know, after like working real hard on my jump shot and shit like that. So after I got expelled from school, you know, you kind of roam the streets and you realize, oh, there's a whole other world out there. And this is the world of kids who are not going to school. They're my same age. They're not going to school, but they're sitting in that park and they're trapping. And it was fun. It was exciting at the time. And to even, you know, add on to that, I always been a SPED kid. My whole brand is SPED, IEP, individual education plan. Like I was always put in like the resource room classes for behavior disorders. So I blended in with the bad kids already. And but mostly like getting involved in the streets, I just wanted to be somebody, bro.
Now, you mentioned being in the trap house. Is there any crazy stories that you have from being around there that you could share?
I mean, a lot. Well, shit that used to happen to me, you know, when I was young, because it wasn't like I was just able to sell drugs in my neighborhood. You know, I'm 14, so I remember some kids that they would call their uncle on me, who was like a bully at the time, and he had brought me in the back of the terrace and made me like check all of my gums to see if I had rocks on me, like searched me and told me, you know, I better not be selling crack out here, type shit like that. A lot of shit, man. I remember getting punched off a stoop into the street, basically, by this dude, this big ass dude. He ended up being a rat, like later on, you know, but he was like a grown man. Punched me in my chest, threw me into the street type shit. But I don't know, man, so much shit. You know, I was also out there with this guy named YG, who was on America's Most Wanted. He came down from Mississippi, and he was wanted for a body in Mississippi. He ended up getting caught in California, I believe. But they like put our neighborhood on America's Most Wanted and said this is the park where he hangs out at. And that was one of my like OGs that I was looking up to. So yeah, a lot of shit was going on.
What's up? This is Cam Capone. We got more content like this coming soon. So hit that like button, subscribe, and stay locked in to Cam Capone News.